Hello, and welcome back to my channel. So, we are doing another reading vlog because I am finally getting around to reading Infinity Sun by Adam Silvera because my kind friend gave me an advanced reader's copy. So, yeah, that is what we're doing today for this week's video. I am excited but also kind of scared because I've seen good reviews for this, but I've also seen some really bad reviews, and I've been very excited to read this book for literally like a year or so. I don't even remember how long it's been. I've just been permanently excited about reading this book, so I'm very nervous that it's going to end badly. I have good expectations because it's Adam Silvera and it's a fantasy novel, and he's excited about it, so I'm excited about it. But I am kind of nervous, so we're gonna read it together. Let's dive in, I guess, and I will update you guys later on how it's going. All right, so bye. I appreciate that the little line / paragraph break is an infinity sign. I appreciate that greatly. Thank you. I just did a drawing to celebrate the Infinity Sun release day, and this is what it looks like. And I just want to say I'm very happy with how this turned out. The sketch itself took me literally all day, but the coloring only took me like an hour, and I just love it, and I think it looks really cool and really awesome, and I'm just really proud of it. I love it so much. I just love it. Okay. Hello. So, I'm gonna give you like a small update. I am halfway through Infinity Sun. We got some good tabbage going on here, but I'm loving this. I genuinely am. I was so scared because I've seen so many people who read it and like the advanced reader's copy, and they were like disappointed. And also, yesterday was like the official like release of Infinity Sun. I haven't gotten like my official copy yet. I pre-ordered an Indigo box, and it's just not here yet, but I was so nervous because a lot of people read it and then they were like, I'm disappointed, this isn't what I thought it was gonna be, I don't like it. And I was so nervous because Adam has worked on this for like 10 years. And so I was like, what if I don't like it? What if I hate it? I've been hyping it up so much, what if I hate it? But so far, I'm like halfway through. I am thrilled, I am excited, I like where this is going, I'm having a good time. So, I think that's a good sign. So that is my little update on how things are going. So, yeah, it's good. And I have a cat in my lap. Do you want to see the cat in my lap? Yeah, I bet you do. Hello, friends. I am reading at work because this is what I do. I'm almost on page 200. On chapter 22, I'm a little over halfway now. I'm not making giant progress because I don't have loads of time, but I'm getting there. I'm hoping my Indigo book box for Infinity Sun will come in soon because that would be amazing, but it's like 8 a.m. I have like 30 minutes before I have to clock in, so I'm just doing some reading. Ooh, okay. We're almost done. It's gonna happen today. We're gonna be done today. I have an array of tabs here. I got more tabs here. I had to get some more in a different color because I ran out of the others. My dog is here. She's looking at the window, but she's here. So it's time, and we're gonna do this. Look who finally arrived. It's an Indigo book box. I wonder what's in it. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, hello. I've never gotten a book box before. I'm so excited. What are you? Are these little cards? Oh, that's cute. There's like little cards to send to people. Oh, it's a little ladder. Oops, I dropped it. Oh, that's so cute. I love that. Oh my gosh. Finally, my copy of Infinity Sun. This one looks like it's been through something. Yes. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Amazing. And fantastic. Gosh. Let's see. Ooh, book notes. Okay. So I'm guessing this is to catalog books in. Yep. Your reading list while you read. Ooh, that's cool. I haven't had one of these. Oh, that's cool. Okay, neat, fancy. A bookmark. Love it. That is cute. Oh my gosh, it's the Infinity Sun pin. Beautiful. It's a dragon pin. Amazing. A necklace. That is so cool. Awesome. My first ever book box. I give it a 10 out of 10 just because of Infinity Sun and this pin. Oh my gosh, I love it. Yeah, I've never done a book box before, so that was fun. I should do more. Awesome. I was stressed out trying to get this box, though. It was supposed to be delivered yesterday by the carrier, and then it wasn't, and then I was freaking out because I got a notice saying that they were going to send it back to the sender today, but it worked out, and now everything's here, and it's beautiful. I love it. All right. Thank you. I finished it. I finished Infinity Sun, and now we're going to talk about it. I had fun reading this book. I really enjoyed reading it. It had a lot of positives, but that also had a lot of negatives. So we're going to talk about both of those things. So some positives for Infinity Sun would be that the main character, Emil, he is very sweet, very precious. I love him a lot. He is like the truest Hufflepuff I've ever seen. There's a lot of fantastical creatures in this book. You've got phoenixes, you've got hydras. Also, I like how Adam has put in, like, there's so many different kinds of phoenixes, and he kind of talks about the different phoenixes, like, a little bit. It's very interesting. There's some really thrilling fights. There's an amazing setup for a sequel, and it's also very inclusive. I have never, like, J.K. Rowling could never be this inclusive. Never. Never ever. You've got LGBT, you've got people of color, like, all in a fantasy. J.K. Rowling could never. She wishes, but she could never. So those are some positives. I think Adam had a really good, solid idea, but this is where we get into the negatives because it wasn't executed the best. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say this. If I was rating this book based purely off of writing and development, I would give it like a 3 out of 5. I rated it a 5 out of 5 because I enjoyed reading it that much, and I didn't mind all of the cliches that are in this. But if I was rating this based purely off of the writing and the development, I would give it a 3 out of 5. But I personally gave it a 5 out of 5 because I enjoyed it and I'm very excited for the sequel, and I've been anticipating this book for so long and I wasn't disappointed. A lot of other people were. You might be disappointed by this book, but I personally, I'm happy with it and how it is. It's not perfect. It is far from being a perfect book, but I enjoyed it, so I gave it a 5 out of 5. And I just wanted to explain that real quick. So the negatives of this book would be there's some messy world building, and the magic system isn't fully explained before diving into the plot. You're kind of left to figure it out as you go, which wasn't the best way to handle this because you kind of spend it being confused for a bit. And I think Adam Silvera did an interview where he explained it, but you shouldn't have to read an interview to understand the magic system or the world building. It should be explained in the book itself. If it's not in the actual book, you're not gonna know it. I mean, It needs to be explained. You shouldn't have to get anything outside of this book to understand what's happening in this book, to understand the characters, to understand the different groups and the different people. You shouldn't have to look for outside material for it to be explained to you. It should be explained in the book itself, and everything that's in the book should be in the book. You know what I mean? So that's like one. So that was one really big issue. It also didn't have great pacing. It was set up kind of weirdly, and a lot happens in this book. Like, I honestly, like, I kind of forgot the beginning of this book because there's just so much that happens. So pacing wasn't the best. There's just a lot of information in here. There's also a bunch of cliches. There's so many cliches. And, I mean, I enjoyed them, but I know for a lot of people that's very annoying. So there are a lot of cliches in this book. And that's pretty much it for the overview. So now we're going to get into a very spoilery review, because I'm actually going to, like, take you roughly through the book with me, because there's some things I want to talk about. So we're going to talk about them. So, yeah. I'm just going to read you the first page of this book, because I think that might be the most helpful. I don't know. We're going to, yeah. I'm dead set on living my one life right, but I can't say the same for my brother. No one's expecting Brighton to be full grown when we turn 18 at midnight, but he needs to step it up. Long gone are the days when we were kids acting like we have powers, like all these celestials roaming the streets tonight. Their lives aren't all fun and games, but he stays turning a blind eye to the dark headlines we see every day. I can't get him to see the truth, but I can check myself. I'm done dressing up as the heroic spellwalkers for Halloween. I'm done watching celestials and creatures wrestle in steel cages with their natural-born powers. I'm done, I'm done, I'm done. The magic system in this book and the different groups of people. You have celestials who are born with powers, who are just trying to live their lives, and then, from what I understand, then there are spellwalkers, who they're still celestials, but they're trying to fight for celestials and fight for other people's rights. Like, I think that's right. And so Brighton and Emil, when they were growing up, they were, like, obsessed with the spellwalkers and wanting to be like them and have their own powers, because not everyone has powers. You're either born with them or they can show up on their 18th birthday. And when we start the book, Brighton and Emil are getting ready to start their 18th birthday, and so Brighton's excited and hoping they'll get their own powers, and Emil doesn't care. He mostly just wants to keep his brother out of trouble. And then you have specters who kill magical creatures to get their blood, so that way they can, I guess, kind of inherit their powers, I guess is a way to put it. Specters they're not good people. They're really bad people. And then you have the bloodcasters, who are specters and fighting against the spellwalkers. There's a lot, and then there's also, like, this political thing going on too. There's just a lot going on, but stick with me. So Brighton's hoping they're gonna get their powers on their 18th birthday. Brighton has a YouTube channel called The Celestials of New York, and so he's hoping that on the eve of their birthday that they can get some good footage, maybe hang out with some celestials. So anyways, they're out, and this fight goes down with a specter and these two spellcasters called Atlas and Mary Bell, who they end up coming back later. But Brighton is trying to get footage of them, and he's watching this fight go down, and Emil just really wants to go home. He's just like, I want to go home. I want to go home where it's safe. I don't like being here. But they get caught up in that. And I mean, like, Adam kind of explains it within the first chapter, but it's not overly explained where you fully understand it. You're still just kind of confused. Like, now that I'm looking over the first chapter again, like, I understand now, like, the difference. But I remember reading this first chapter and being like, what on earth is a specter? In the second chapter, Emil and Brighton are kind of talking about how Brighton would be okay if the specter died, while Emil would be kind of upset about it. And I think this is in here to kind of explain who Brighton and Emil are and how they are different as brothers. Why are you mad? Brighton asks, taking his eyes off the camera. Because I would have been fine with that specter dying. The spellwalkers save more lives than they take, but if they have to kill, I trust they're taking the right lives. I don't want to engage. I'm one of those angry criers, and Brighton is straight up pissing me off, but I can't shut up. We don't get to decide which are the right lives to take. Ever since the blackout, the game isn't what it used to be, Brighton says. I'm not going to get mad at good people killing bad people. I'm truly tempted to get off the bus and walk home alone. It's not a game. You know what I mean. People die in wars. It's inevitable. Brighton leans forward and nudges my knee. If we had powers, we could have helped them. The rays of light, right? He's been calling us that since we were 10, right after we found out our last name. Ray means king. You couldn't stop us from fantasizing about how our name was some prophetic code, that we are destined for greatness. The heroic twins who are doubly strong and can communicate across the city without phones. We're not special at all, but the name stuck. Even though our brotherhood seems to be getting dimmer and dimmer by the day. Yeah, well, thank the stars we don't have powers, I say. Not trying to find blood on my hands. Killing to save the world is different, bro. Heroes shouldn't have body counts. For once, he's quiet. We stare each other down like a game of chess that's hit stalemate. Both kings live, but no one wins. You learn about who they are as people, and so, like, that's good. This is just really sad. The story kind of delves back into Brighton, and also about their dad, because their dad died from cancer. Well, he had cancer, and he was dying from it slowly, but he took place in a blood test. I watched Dad suffer for 7 months, where I got my hopes up when alchemists called to accept him into a clinical trial to test him with Hydra blood. The idea was their blood contained their essence, so it would transfer all the properties that allowed those serpents to heal themselves and regrow multiple heads. I was the only one home when my father choked to death on his own blood. So Brighton is the one that found their dad. Their dad was involved in some blood tests, so they've got like some history with it. So later on, Brighton uploaded his video to YouTube when he got a video of Maribel and Atlas fighting with that specter. And he uploaded the video to YouTube, and this is a good setup for explaining the brothers and who they really are. Brighton had a meet and greet, and he got all these shirts that he was going to sell to his subscribers. He thought it was going to be huge, and then he got there and there were only like 7 people there. Also, this is a good time to mention they have a friend called Prudencia. And Prudencia and Brighton kind of have a thing going on, but it's not official. But Prudencia goes with Brighton and Emil to the meet and greet. I know it's not what you wanted, Prudencia says, dipping her feet in the water, but you made their days. I'm a failure on every level. I had the superior video and it didn't go viral. I mean, come on, I was deep in the action and now this meetup was a bust and whatever. You get a better idea of what Brighton's like as a person. As I approach Gunner's Bronze Monument today, there is this dread unlike I've ever had before. I expect to find dozens of Brightsiders waiting for me underneath the shade provided by Gunner's salute, but I can only make out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 people. No one showed, I say. There are fans literally waving at you, Emil says. 7 people. It's still early. And train traffic, Prudencia says. Got any more excuses? I point at the blue skies. Should we blame the weather too? I put on a smile and wave back at my fans. Let's knock this out. I chat with the 6 Brightsiders. Turns out the 7th person is a friend tagging along. I grow more and more self-conscious as Emil films. My original vision for the video, with big crowds surrounding me, completely collapsing. We learn that Emil works in a museum, the Museum of Natural Creatures, and he loves specifically the sunroom because it's full of phoenixes. So he's sitting in the sunroom looking at all the phoenixes before go to work because he has some time beforehand, and this guy Charlie shows up and asks Emil if he works there and if he could tell him something about the phoenixes and about the sunroom. And so Emil is going on and on about these phoenixes. Like, he absolutely loves these phoenixes. He's just super into it, super passionate about them, pointing at each phoenix like a star and telling their stories like a constellation. The crowned elders, who are born old, sky swimmers who live underneath the water and can set an ocean on fire with their cerulean flames, century phoenixes who only spawn every 100 years, obsidians with their glittering black feathers and eyes so dark I once thought they'd been hollowed out, breath spawns who dive into battle like missiles and explode against their enemies, resurrecting moments later in fields of ash, blaze tempests who conjure the fiercest storms with massive wings 3 times as large as their tiny bodies. I stopped to catch my breath after telling him about the sun swallowers, who breathe the hottest fire and also burn out the fastest of any breed. Amazing, Charlie says. He wanders over to the replica of one of history's most famous phoenixes. The gray sun phoenix is propped on a bronze perch. It has pearl eyes, a gray belly, dark tail, yellow wings, and a gold crown. In front of the models are pictures of specters Keon Maximo and Bautista de Leon. Sort something out for me. I read about the queen slayers that used to claw dragons in the eyes. Now that's a real phoenix. Why did men bother with these gray suns? Yo, it's like everything I found attractive about Charlie has been sucked away. His English accent is no longer music to my ears, his green eyes are not worth poetry, and dude needs to make a decision between growing out his beard or shaving, because stubble is not the look. No one should harm innocent creatures for any reason, I say defensively, but I'm unable to look him in the eye. You're also super underestimating the Grey Sons. Every time they're reborn, they come back with stronger fire and sharper instincts. Grey Sons are good for a fight, but they aren't weapons. They're so good-hearted, and they rescue wounded travelers in the wild and protect all animals and creatures. These thugs killed them anyway, Charlie says. Why? I stare at the gritty photo of Keon Maximo, the alchemist who transformed into the very first Spectre. Anyways, Charlie leaves, and one of the actual, guides who works in the museum, Kirk, shows up. And he starts talking more about Bautista and Keon. Some believe Bautista to be a hero because while he was alive, he kept the threat of specters in check. Others point to the fact that by nature, a specter himself, he couldn't be a hero and was simply someone eliminating the competition so he could rule the city. Whether or not there's any truth, Bautista sourcing his powers from a Grey Sun that had been cut by a hunter's infinity ender. Communities are still outraged that he perpetuated the cycle of creatures being killed for one's benefit. So that happens, and then Emil finds out that there's actually a century phoenix that is being hatched in the museum, which is a huge deal because it's the phoenix's first cycle of life. The phoenix is called Gravesend, and Kirk is telling Emil about how the world will be able to witness Gravesend's first breath. And it's also important to mention that while all this is happening, there's a constellation that's making celestials more powerful called the Crown Dreamer. And so Gravesend is supposed to hatch on the last night of the Crown Dreamer. Now, this is where things really pick up because Emil, Brighton, and Prudencia go to this event to watch, I think she's senator running for president or something like that. They go to see her speak about celestials and speak out for them and about how she wants to, make it better in America for them. And so they go to see her speak. And Brighton's trying to get footage of it. As they're leaving, they basically run into these guys who they look like they're play fighting and they think they're gonna edit effects in later for a video. Turns out they took this thing called brew, which makes you think you have celestial powers and gives you these crazy hallucinations. And so that's what they were messing with. And so they went to go see what was happening, Emil, Brighton, and Prudencia, and they end up talking to this guy, Orton. Things take a turn, and Orton, who's a specter, ends up following them onto a train. Do you like my summaries? So they get onto the train, they start fighting, a fight breaks out, Orton's beating up Emil, beating up Brighton, going after Brighton, he tries to throw Brighton off the train, and then Emil raises his hand and fire shoots out of it, which is not something you expect to happen to you every day. So Emil fights Orton off the train and sends him on the platform. And Emil is terrified because he thinks he just killed this guy and he does not want to kill this man. Bad dude or not, life is a life. I'm not about stealing anyone's. That isn't up to me just because I have powers. The flames that he has, they're gray and gold and they don't run in their family. So that's just it's just a big what on earth is happening. So Emil's hurt, so they decide that they're gonna take him to the hospital. But then they realize he might need Gleam care because apparently Gleam is what they call when a celestial has powers. And so they go to take him to Gleam care in case he needs special treatment. Brighton and Prudencia are chatting, and they realize that they think Emil might be a specter, though. Because Celestial's eyes glitter, and I think Emil's were dark, and I think when they're dark, that means that they're a specter, if I remember correctly. Again, only read this book once. And so they're talking about how they think Emil's a specter. But then Prudencia's Emil wouldn't willingly become a specter. Prudencia says, I don't know what happened. Maybe he drank potion without realizing what it was. Emil loves phoenixes too much to steal their essence. So clearly, I was thinking okay, so someone did this to Emil without him knowing. Because again, like Prudencia said, he wouldn't willingly do that. So they take Emil to the hospital. He's being taken care of. Their mom's there. Everything's pretty chill and fine right now. And then we focus on Brighton. From his point of view, because the book switches point of view, it says, I've been tagged in several videos where all the thumbnails are cropped pictures of Emil holding Phoenix Fire. I click the viral video so fast even though I know the scene firsthand. I watch, getting to see the moment the gray and gold flames first light up my brother's fist. Paying close attention to Emil's reaction, he's just as shocked as anyone. Because Brighton was like, why didn't Emil tell me he had powers the longest time? This video is making serious numbers. Any outsider would assume Emil is extremely popular online and not someone with a near-dead Instagram with posts that never even get 1,000 likes. I check out Emil's social media accounts. His Twitter of 200 plus followers who hang around for his random musings on video games, nonfiction, and Phoenix activism has exploded into 6,000 followers. In the same way, I feel weird that hundreds of thousands of people peripherally know who I am. I can only imagine how Emil will react when he wakes up to this. After staring at a gif of Emil's flaming fist, I switch over to Instagram where his following has skyrocketed. Everyone is leaving comments on his latest photo that have nothing to do with his review of some graphic novel, like asking whether he's flying solo or part of a squad. This isn't something he's going to be able to keep to himself. For all I know, Emil is near death, and still, I envy everything about my supernova superstar of a brother. Brighton is jealous. After that, the Spellwalkers go to the hospital to collect Emil because they think he's really important in this battle that they're fighting against the Bloodcasters. And he thinks he's like gonna be like a key to all of this. The Spellwalkers go to collect Emil and explain, you know, like what's going on. And so Emil thinks he's gonna go by himself, but then his brother ends up tagging along and they like go back to the apartment to gather some things, and then Atlas follows them. Atlas shows up to take them back to like their little sanctuary, but it's not Atlas, it's actually a shapeshifter. So the real Atlas shows up, there's a fight, and then the real Atlas ends up taking Emil and Brighton and their mother to like their little sanctuary, basically. And the shapeshifter is a bloodcaster, which is a good thing to mention. Everyone gets out of the car, and as I enter Nova, I truly feel like a character straight out of a fantasy book who discovers he's special and is now going to attend a school to hone his powers. Except there's nothing remarkably fantastical, such as moving staircases or glowing wells to greet me. The hallway appears to be like any other school with a little celestial flair. Posters of mindfulness when it comes to using Gleamcraft in public, reminders on when to wear half capes, sign-up sheets for after-school training with savants, more of that nature. So at this point, you meet the rest of the Spellwalkers. There's Atlas, Maribel, you have Iris and Eva, and then you have Wesley. So they all gather and sit down. Iris kind of begins the conversation of, Emil, it's time to talk. Talk about what? Ma asks. How your son has powers he shouldn't possess, Iris says. She catches her breath. She's not standing tall like she was when I met her. She's battered and tired. I guess Eva can't heal someone completely. Eva has, like, healing powers. There have been a lot of moving pieces in this war, and we have theories and intels to support Emil shaping up to become a major player. A soldier, I say? One stare says everything. This is when we have a bit of a plot twist where like part of it's cliche, but then part of it's like, wow, okay, wasn't expecting that. We've been keeping track of all the increased Spectre activity since the Crown Dreamer surfaced, Iris says from the dry erase board. The fight we saw online between you and that Spectre was horrific, but my mother confided in me to keep an eye out for any Spectres with gold or gray flames. You exhibited both, Emil. Maribel finally looks up. Wait. You didn't tell us about this. It was a secret, Iris says. Maribel slams the textbook shut. What kind of leader is trusted with some piece to the puzzle that doesn't trust her team, starts forbid something happens to you in our dangerous line of work? The secret would have died with you. Maribel and Iris are constantly at it. They do not get along at all. I knew, just in case, Eva says, standing behind Iris and grabbing her hand. Eva and Iris are dating. I found out a month after the blackout. Blackout was like this really big event that happened that changed everything, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. I don't fully understand what the blackout was, I gotta be honest. We're not allowed to have secrets, Maribel says. This is life or death. You have the blood of Grey Sun Phoenix within you, Iris says. I cracked that code. So did Bautista de Leon. He never sought out blood alchemy, and his power surprised him too. The only people who knew that were the Spellwalkers he first assembled, and they all reached the same conclusion. Bautista was a Spectre with Phoenix blood in the past life, successfully reborn in this one. Brighton inhales a deep breath. Do you think Bautista is Emil's past life? That's impossible. I shut up. Everything that should have been impossible today is proving itself extra possible. The timeline adds up, Iris says. Bautista died and you were born days later. Reborn, Maribel breathes as she stares at me in awe. It can't be me. It can't. Phoenixes are reborn as they were, and I look nothing like him. It's Bautista's essence reborn, Iris says. Powers and spirit. Hours ago, I was a kid having a panic attack in a park, and now I'm the founding spellwalker reincarnated. Enough already. The world needs to pick on someone else. I've got a good handle on history concerning specters carrying blood from Grey Sun Phoenixes, and it's got me thinking. Please don't tell me. Iris is quiet as if she senses the dread in my question. Bautista believed he was reincarnated from Keon Maximo. I'm numb as I try to think of something that can disprove this, but there's no known date for when Keon actually died. We only know that it was at the hands of Halo Knights for his crimes against Phoenixes. Why did Bautista think that? I ask. Growing up, Bautista apparently had flashes of memories from a life he hadn't lived, and he connected the dots himself. When he realized his past life was responsible for the existence of specters, he created the Spellwalkers with the psychic alchemist, Sarah Cordova. He wanted to do good with all the stolen powers he was reborn with against his will. So yeah, I wasn't expecting that at all. That was just completely unexpected, and I screamed. And now another bombshell is dropped onto Emil, although this one is a cliche. Like, it's a definite cliche. Ma, please tell me what you did to me or I might blow up. We saved you, Ma says. Your father and I, we saved you. You were abandoned and we brought you in. I don't get it. Brighton stands by me and looks like he can barely hold his head up. I think she's saying that you're adopted, Emil. After I gave birth, Leonardo wanted to get me balloons, but the helium tank in the hospital gift shop was empty, so he went out to find some. I always pictured myself holding my child in a room with yellow daffodils and balloons, and your father wanted to make that dream come true. He left the hospital, and you were crying on a street corner 2 blocks away, baking under the sun. No one was around, no note or blanket. Your father never hated a stranger the way he did whoever abandoned you. He carried you back into the hospital, and the doctors and the nurses were all over you. So was he. He was immediately protective of you, just like he was when he held Brighton for the first time. He kept running back and forth between checking on you and Brighton. Everyone's adopted. Like, that is the most, like, overused plot twist ever, but I'm okay with it in this stance because it's just really cute, like, the story, the way they found Emil. Like, I mean, it's sad, you know, you find an abandoned baby, but it was cute, though, and sweet the way that their father handled it and the way he cared about Emil, like, instantly. And my dog is needy. Got it. Are you needy? See, like, in this sense, like, the adoption thing works because it makes sense and it does actually help with the story. Even though it is a cliche, it helps. So later on, we kind of catch up with Brighton. He says, end of the day, everyone knows it should have been me. This is from his perspective. End of the day, everyone knows it should have been me. The powers, the past lives, all of it. I'm built for the Spellwalker life and Emil isn't. I'm not knocking him. He would also tell anyone that I would pull off Gleamcraft better than he ever will. I'll prove it when the Crown Dreamer turns me into a Celestial. He says that as Emil's trying to decide if he wants to stay or if he wants to try something else, because Emil's really not up for this. He's like, I don't want to fight in a war. I want no part of this. I feel responsible because of my past lives, but I don't even remember my past lives. Eventually, Emil decides that he's going to become a Spellwalker and he's going to fight with them. So he has to start training. He went through training. Eventually he got it, but he had a really hard time when he first started out. I really like this part because Eva's a healer. She does physical healing, but she's also like a therapist for everybody, which I really like. And I like that Adam included this in the book where Emil, it's from his perspective and he's, you know, talking to himself and he says, I've been meaning to begin one-on-one counseling with Eva like Ma has, but between training and deciphering Bautista and Sarah's notes with Prudencia, I can't find the time. Too many people are counting on me, myself included. Figuring out a cure is the only way I can piece my life back together. But I like how they have counseling and like they're having like they have their own personal therapy, which I think is really good, and I like that it was included because that is important. Especially if you just found out you're adopted and you learn you have powers you never thought you would have and that your past lives started a war. Here's another good part that I tabbed. Brighton began making videos for his YouTube channel of Emil's training and just about Spellwalkers in general, and trying to make them look good so that way more people will cheer for them. My phone is absolutely blowing up with media requests and my follower growth. I love the high of notifications, but I had to finally turn them off. Shooting past 100,000 YouTube subscribers was a big dream, and now that I've crossed that line, I want more, I need more. He also says I may not be throwing fire, but I'm as much as a hero as anyone else. So you learn that Brighton just really wants to feel important and like he matters and he wants attention and he wants to be the hero. We learn more about the bloodcasters actually, because one of the perspectives that we're in is from Ness, who is a shapeshifter. He was the shapeshifter that posed as Atlas and tried to take Emil. But Ness is working with the bloodcasters, and there's Dion who has Hydra blood. There's someone else who has Basilisk blood, who I don't remember. I think that's Stanton. So you have Luna, who's like their leader, who's like super messed up and she just wants to find a way to live forever because she never wants to die. And she's like pushing for this war. But Ness exists, basically. Emil is still training. We're like halfway through the book. Emil's still training. And Maribel and Atlas are talking to each other. And they're like a power couple. Get it? Because they're like celestials. I don't want to say it to Emil's face, but the wrong brother got powers. Emil's sensitivity and resistance to fighting is much more suited to doing all the behind-the-scenes activity. Brighton's take-charge attitude paired with those powers could have been revolutionary for us. And Maribel said that. I believe in Emil. He's doing his best. I hope his best gets better. So Maribel and Atlas have very different opinions on the brothers. Maribel is much more partial to Brighton, whereas Atlas is more partial to Emil. Also, Maribel is like hellbent on revenge throughout this whole book. Like, it's scary. She's trying to find out who killed her parents and who framed them and gave them like a bad image for the Spellwalkers, I think. I don't fully understand it. Like, I got like the main idea, the like grasp, but then also I didn't bother to remember too much about Maribel because she kind of annoyed me because of how hellbent she was on revenge. So basically Maribel's parents died, had something to do with the blackout, and she's trying to get revenge for her parents. So they hear that there's this Hydra who's never been decapitated, and the Spellwalkers hear that the Bloodcasters are going to go after it because in Luna's quest to grasp immortality, she has to make a potion with the blood of a Hydra that's never been decapitated, the ghosts of her parents, the blood of a phoenix who has never died. Gravesend. They end up catching the shapeshifter Ness, so they have him held captive. The Dolgari light spreads across the shapeshifter and washes away Iris's features. He disguised himself as Iris. His spellwalker gear fades, and he's left in nothing but sweatpants, sneakers, and a tank top. That reveals the kind of toned arms the world has always told me I should have too. He's about my age with light brown skin, dark eyebrows, and even darker hair that's curly on top and shaved down at the sides. I know his face. The entire country knows his face. It's Senator Iron's son, Eduardo, the one who died in the blackout. So basically, like, the senator they went to go see speak, she's like the good one who's nice and trying to like get rights for Celestials, and then the other one, Senator Iron, he is like trying to like get rid of Celestials and have them locked away. His wife was killed by a Celestial, and then he claimed that his son was killed by a Celestial, and so he was using that as ammo to stop a Celestial violence and do something bad to him. And his son was supposed to be dead, but his son is actually alive. And guess what? His son is a Celestial. It's funny how that happens. The thing you hate most, that's who your children are. Love that. So they take Eduardo back, who's called Ness. They take him back. Hi. They take him back, and they're going to interrogate him about Luna's plans and where she's going next, because they don't still fully know what she's doing. So they're investigating Eduardo. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. I'm very sorry. I am terrible with names. Unless I hear them spoken out loud, I'm just doing my best here. He says that he refuses to speak. The only person he wants to talk to is Emil. Why do you only want to talk with me, I ask. You're fascinating, Eduardo says. He's eyeing me with pure wonder. I'm in the business of never being seen more than once, but we've crossed paths serendipitously multiple times. Pardon me if I got some of the details wrong. Keeping track of eye colors or hair length or height doesn't matter in this moment. But you get what I mean now? New York is huge, Emil. You will see someone once while you're out and about and never see them again for the rest of your life. But you keep popping up like a firefly at night. You're one to talk, Eduardo. You're supposed to be dead. That's not my name anymore. Eduardo Iron died during the blackout, he says. All his intrigue has been swallowed by darkness. You're not the only one who gets another shot at life. He knows about my origin more than ever. I hope the Spellwalkers keep him here. So what's your name? Ness Arroyo, he says. If I remember right, Arroyo was his mother's last name. He's erased every connection to Iron. Does your father know you're alive? No. Mary Bell can use that against you if you don't speak up about June. Ness nods, like he's considered this already. I imagine the Enforcers have a unit devoted to locating this haven. But if the Senator gets word that I'm alive, then that's what every officer will be dragged out of bed to track me down. Can't risk the country discovering that his entire campaign is a lie, not this close to the election. He calls his father the Senator. It reminds me of when Brighton and I were kids and he got pissed at Dad, so he called him Leonardo for a week. It was so impersonal, and Dad refused to let Brighton win by showing him how much he bothered him. Is teaming with the Bloodcasters really better than living under Iron's roof, I ask? Ness rises. He's maybe an inch or two shorter than me, but my heart races because of how powerful he feels with his leveled shoulders, intense stare. The gang has turned me inside out. They carved me into someone dangerous and brilliant. He shakes his leg and the chains clink against the floor. This can't hold me. I can morph into a child and escape and snap your neck. He steps towards me and my fist is on fire. The gold-gray flames light up Ness's face. The shadows under his eyes, the exhausting defeat I see when I look in the mirror as well. The Senator used me as a pawn and mouthpiece of my generation time and time again. He made sure everyone saw a child grieving for a mother he lost to celestial violence. The Bloodcasters aren't innocent by a long shot, but I won't ever allow the Senator to use my face again. He turns his back on me and lounges across the floor using a paper towel as a pillow. Good night, Firefly. Emil goes back to talk to Ness because he wants to talk to someone, but he doesn't know who he wants to talk to, so he wants to talk to someone who doesn't expect anything of him. Because everyone's expecting something of Emil, because, you know, he's become this guy who's going to turn into a weapon, and so everyone's relying on him, expecting something from him, and Ness is the one person who's not, so he talks to Ness a lot. So they're talking, and Emil says, no, I'm heartbroken because we're 18 and we've been turned into weapons. You have to lie about being dead so your father won't find you. You had to manipulate your way to safety. You had to kill for a gang that you don't want to be in. It's only a matter of time until I find blood on my hands too. My eyes drift from Ness to the floor as I go off about all the pressure I've been under. I unload about all my guilt that's tied up in Keon's alchemy. But I talk the most about how I'm being so hard on Ma when she raised me the right way and gave me a home. It still feels impossible to forgive her since learning I'm not a biological ray came right after another devastating surprise. But that has truly upended my life. Everything that's happened the past 3 weeks is so wild. I crack and cry so hard I wish anyone, even a stranger like Ness, would take me in their arms and lie to me about how it's all going to be okay. Why are you telling me all this? Ness asks. I don't know. Maybe because I'm freaking out about how to be a good brother, and a good son, and a good best friend, and a good hero, and you're the only person not expecting anything from me. Emil asks, what was it like when she died? Ness's mother. Confusing, Ness says after a beat. It was so sudden and the Senator told me how to feel. Anger, hate, disgust. He forced me to grieve in front of cameras. I was a poster boy for children who lost loved ones because of celestial violence. And I leaned into that role because it's the only way I got support from the Senator. Don't get it twisted. I'm not talking about hugs, handshakes on some days, and pride on others. But it was something to fill the emptiness that my mother left behind. I tell him I'm sorry for his loss, even though it's too many years too late. You too, Ness says. You're lucky that your last living parent loves you so much that she protected you at all cost. Mine threw me into the fire. So next, they hear that Luna and the Bloodcasters are going to be in a graveyard so that way Luna can get the ghosts of her parents. But the only ghosts that stay around is if they died in like a really tragic way, and Luna killed her own parents. Luna put her parents in an urn. The Bloodcasters and Spellwalkers were fighting over the urn. Emil got it. He flew for the first time ever. Emil is this is from Brighton's perspective. Emil is blazing like a comet, gold and gray flames streaking against the night. I lose focus on filming as my brother flies away with my favorite power. How long has Emil known he could do this? Was he keeping it a secret so he could bust it out in some blazing moment of glory? Unlike him, I'm not running away from battle. He can go back to Nova and play it safe with Ness. I don't care, but this fight doesn't end just because he got the urn. And then Brighton gets taken by the Bloodcasters. This is from Emil's perspective. My brother is hostage to the city's worst gang, and death no longer seems like the worst thing that could happen to Brighton. This urn no longer feels like a victory. In this book, the Spellwalkers keep getting victories, but they never feel like victories, so they lose something too. It's like the Spellwalkers, they're just like a very unorganized group. There's a lot of fighting between them, and they just don't work well together, really. They have some victories, but it's always with cost, or they get it completely wrong, and there's not really an in-between. Oh, and then after finding out his brother's taken, his mom has a heart attack. I'm gonna try to wrap this up as quickly as possible. I mean, we're almost through this, but there's a lot. So Brighton's been taken by the Bloodcasters. The Spellwalkers are trying to get them back. The Bloodcasters upload a video of Brighton and have him explain that they want to do a trade. Brighton for Ness and the urn. So they go to leave and do the trade. And then we find out Prudentia actually is a Celestial and has powers. Because we didn't know that at the beginning of the book. We thought she was just an advocate. It turns out she has powers. So we learned that before going to the trade. So we go to the trade. They go to do like the little switcheroo. Long story short, Ness kind of turns back on Emil. And so the Bloodcasters have Ness and Emil, but Ness is with the Bloodcasters, so he's not like a hostage. Emil is the hostage, but Ness is not because he betrayed the Spellwalkers and took control of the situation, I guess you could say. So now they're back home and they have to deal with the fact that they didn't have Brighton. They got Brighton back, but then they lost Emil and the urn because the Spellwalkers, they just can't get it right. And they just keep making mistake after mistake. And also while Brighton was held hostage, there were like these vials there of brew, but he didn't realize it was brew, so he took one thinking it was just blood. He was hoping he would turn into a specter, but he didn't. So he was like slightly disappointed. And so from Brighton's perspective, he says, "I will never tell anyone about my brew experience, how powerful and victorious I felt when I believed I killed Luna and Dion and that acolyte. I'm a big enough fool without anyone knowing that." Which is a big red flag. But the door opens and Mary Bell comes in. "We messed up trusting that shapeshifter," she says. "We followed his lead, but we should have known better. Emil would trust Luna if she promised to turn over a new leaf. His heart is too good. You've got fire in you," she crossed her arms. "Taking that shot at Luna took a lot of guts. Come train with me so we can make sure you don't miss next time. I put down my laptop and rise. I'm going to be my brother's hero, no matter what." Emil is being held captive and he's being tortured. He learns an infinity ender exists, which is a very fancy knife. If he's stabbed in the heart, it will kill him and end the infinity cycle. Bautista actually was hurt with the knife, and that's why he died the first time, and Luna thought that she full-on ended Bautista, but really, because she didn't pierce him in the heart, all it did was make it so he couldn't remember his past lives, and so that's why Emil has no memory, while Bautista still had most of the memories from when he was Keon originally. For Ness to prove to Luna that he's loyal to her, he takes the Infinity Ender. He slices up Emil pretty bad with this knife, and with this knife, anytime Emil uses his power, he gets like this terrible burning pain where the cuts are, and it's just like terrible. And so he's having a bad time, and Ness goes off after that's done. He decided to take the knife and hurt Emil because he didn't trust Luna to, he didn't trust Stanton to, he didn't trust anyone else to, because they would have taken it too far. As much as Ness didn't want to hurt Emil, he would rather he hurt Emil and not go too far than for the other Bloodcasters to hurt Emil and take it way too far. But now Ness is by himself after that happened. I'm shaking hard in front of the mirror. I grip the sink with bloody hands. Gray light bathes me, and I'm Peter McCall when he was 13. Brown eyes that feared me whenever we crossed paths. Thin lips that quivered whenever I cornered him. He was so small that only half his face reflects back at me now. He was the first Celestial I bullied after my mother was killed, and he transferred schools after his parents caught him trying to take his own life. Gray light. 14-year-old Harry Gardner. Black eye and missing teeth courtesy of my fists. He was the first Celestial I attacked. I went home pissed because he hadn't used his power on me, which would have gotten him locked up. Gray light. 15-year-old Rystone. Blue eyes, immaculate smile, bright future ahead of him. We never met personally, but there's no forgetting the face of a Celestial who was killed because of my convention speech. Because of the words the senator wrote for me. Words I once believed. Gray light after gray light, the many faces of people I've hurt go on and on. Some personally, others indirectly. Some alive, others dead. A few murdered by my own hand. But there's one light that strikes me the hardest. Gray light, taller than me, hazel eyes, curlier hair, a face that I've never seen smile, but I hope I will. Emil Ray, Firefly. But I got him all wrong. He's too clean, too perfect. He's been ruined tonight. I ruined him. I don't want to, but I add the scars to my glamour and stare. I will forever be haunted by the tears that filled his hazel eyes, the spits building over his lips, his cheeks flushed as he screamed for death, and his blood on my hands. Gray light. I'm me again. I wish I wasn't. I really love Ness. I'm worried for him. I just want to hug him and protect him and make things better. It hurts. So the Bloodcasters, they're going to the museum and they're going to get Gravesend. They take Emil with them. Emil tried giving Kirk a heads up that they were coming and that there was probably going to be an attack, but Kirk didn't fully take him seriously. So they get there, the Bloodcasters fight the guards, take them out, and then go after Gravesend. Kirk is holding Gravesend's egg, and he's like behind a little protection force field thing. But then Luna decides to talk him down. I have a proposal for you. I understand you're familiar with Emil. He's a promising Spectre, one who recently flew, a power neither Keon nor Bautista exhibited. I'll give you this Scion to study for your own sciences, to write about in your own journals in exchange for the Phoenix. Yeah, only Luna can mock me for being a nobody and still make me sound promising. Don't do it. You know she wants to kill the Phoenix to become immortal. Ridiculous theory, Luna says. The purity of the Phoenix is what's necessary for my health, and will prove to be a marvel to the rest of the world should I succeed. But the gala is ongoing and the tickets. Tell everyone the Phoenix died. Refund everyone. There is more money to be made in the journals of Phoenix Spectre than a viewing party. This is a sign from the universe. The boy Phoenix was under your nose all along. Unlock the answer you've always wanted. So Kirk agrees to exchange Gravesend for Emil and just straight up give Luna the egg. So Kirk says deal. The shield comes down and Kirk exits the vault with Gravesend's egg. Every step he takes, I'm surprised there isn't some headshot. He doesn't appear as disturbed by the dead bodies as I would expect, and who knows what other shadiness he's been up to in order to get where he is today. Up close, the egg is truly beautiful and unlike anything I've ever seen before. I can hear Gravesend's song, a melody that's both beautiful and chaotic, like a bunch of keys and a piano that are being played all at once. I can sense that Gravesend isn't simply battle-hungry, but war-hungry. If Gravesend is given the chance to live, she could grow into a killing machine. The last thing the world needs is Luna walking around with this blood inside of her, escalating her violent instincts to dangerous new heights. Ness pulls me back by the arm. Where would you like him, Kirk? The storage room down the hall. For the time being, I'll sedate him there. I'm human, Kirk. Come on. Ness drags me. Stay close, Firefly. I'm gonna get you out of here, he whispers. There's an uneasiness in my stomach. I don't want to trust him, but hope ignites again when he relaxes his grip around my arm and his thumb brushes circles against my skin. Please, please get me out of here. I don't care if begging makes me look stupid. If he plays me again, I'll do whatever it takes to not be locked up in some cellar killed. Stanton calls after Ness. You passed the office. Ness turns to me. You said it was past this room. You lying, Emil? Then quietly he adds, make Stanton pay for everything he did to you and your brother. And so they break free. I am not a giant fan of Mary Bell, but this is just really sad. And I mean, like, I'm not a giant fan of Mary Bell in the way that she's taken, like, the vengeance thing. But, like, you understand why she's doing it. You're able to understand her as a person and as a character, so you get it. It's not right, but you get it and you understand it, and you do feel for her. There's a big fight at the gala. The Bloodcasters and Spellwalkers are fighting each other, and Mary Bell, of course, goes after June. And she's aware that she shouldn't, but she's going after her anyway. They fight, there's a tussle. June ends up possessing Mary Bell. June saunters toward me. She's not threatening. She can't hurt me unless she's corporeal. And I can't imagine the silent assassin is feeling good about round 2, but she doesn't stop. And her eyes that glow like flickering eclipses come closer to mine until she vanishes from sight. And I become so cold, it's like I'm naked in a freezing ocean. My body doesn't feel like my own anymore. I stand without meaning to and take steps like I'm on autopilot. June has possessed me. I don't know if she can hear my screams. I'm panicking and suffocating inside my own body. I can feel the movement of every muscle, the floor underneath every step, but none of the decisions are mine. This is how helpless Mama must have felt. And out of all the experiences we dreamed about sharing together as mother and daughter, being occupied by a ghostly assassin wasn't on the list. There is so much chaos. Luna is watching by the door with the Phoenix egg, and I want to call for Wesley to snatch it and run far, far away, but he's dizzying Stanton. Atlas is hovering above the acolytes, dodging spell work. He calls my name again, but this isn't me walking towards him, not really. June picks up a wand with my hand, and I can feel a faint hum against my palm. But there's still enough charge in here for one spell. When June raises the wand, I expect to find it against my head. But to kill me, she'll have to kill us both. I aim. No, June aims the wand at Atlas, and the winds carrying him vanish as the spell hits his heart. So I ran out of storage on my phone, so we're finishing this on my iPad. So Maribel was possessed by June and killed Atlas, which is like super sad. So they're dealing with that. And Maribel just kind of explodes into flames. I feel like this was like a super unnecessary plot twist. Like, because it turns out later that Maribel is Bautista and Sarah's daughter. So Maribel was also adopted. So she has her power of being a celestial on top of also being a specter and having the power of the Phoenix Flames. They win the battle and escape because of Maribel's flames that have now resurfaced because of the pain she felt from Atlas dying, which was really sad. They regroup, they have Gravesend, they have the egg, and Brighton's mad. You can stay out of it. We'll stop Luna without you. You cannot come on any more missions, Iris says. We just lost one of our best Celestials, one of our best friends. Atlas was powerful and good, and now he's dead. If we couldn't bring him home alive, we can't guarantee your protection. It's just too risky. And if you hop in one of our cars again, I will throw you out myself. Brighton's face is red. First, I'm not worth a rescue mission. Now I can't enlist in this war because I might die. You're not safe just because spell work can bounce off your skin. Wesley isn't so quick that he hasn't been hit. I've seen more action than Eva. Brighton, enough, Prudencia says. Be with your family. Be with me. No more blood should be lost. I'm not turning my back on everyone, Brighton says. But good on all of you for being able to do so. And then this is from Maribel's point of view, and she says, I'm energized by Brighton's fire, and I stand. Don't worry about the bloodcasters. I'm going to get to them first. Take care of June and the others for good. Spellwalkers don't kill, Iris says. Can you at least see eye to eye on that? You all don't kill, but I will. I get up and head for the door. I quit. So Maribel decides to leave to go after June and the other bloodcasters. And Brighton decides to join her. Being a spellwalker, I didn't always want to say of everyone. Too many people hated me so fiercely, but now I'm sure of my calling, pure vengeance. Out by Atlas's car, Brighton is waiting by the driver's seat, with his laptop under his arm and backpack over his shoulder. Do you need some company, he asks. I'll do whatever it takes. I'm not like Emil. I won't hold you back. I nod. Let's go. We have a ghost to kill. So Emil and Ness decide to catch up, and they're talking. And Ness says, can I explain myself? He keeps his distance, which should make me feel safer, but I'm thrown over by how lonely I feel. Like we're both stars in the sky that aren't close enough to shine brightly together. I don't want to leave Nova, but you were so ready to risk everything for Brighton. You were ridiculously kind to me, and I had to repay that. But when we were on the roof and Stanton had us cornered, I had to grab the reins. So you laid me out with the urn, I say. Then Luna made you cut into me. No, she didn't make me. She was furious because I exposed her cemetery plans. I had to convince her I was double-crossing you, and since she wanted to punish you, I volunteered my loyalty to prove her. It pained me, but it was the only way I could make the best out of a horrific situation. Dion wouldn't have been careful. June would have shown you no mercy. Stanton would have gone too far and possibly killed you. He can't look me in the eye. She believed me. I believed you too, I say. He would have made a great actor in another life. And so Ness helps Emil clean his wounds and tells him that Ness needs to go off and kind of figure out who he is, and now's a good time since Luna's distracted. He's never been able to make his own choices. I respect this one especially. You've got to protect yourself. I hope you don't have to hide the rest of your life. Pray to the stars that Luna and the Senator die sooner rather than later. I wonder who has to die before I can come out and live my life in peace. I should get going before it gets too dark, Ness says. I don't know what else to say to him. When he closes the space between us, good nerves explode within me. I almost even get my lips ready. But when he pulls me into a hug, I'm not disappointed. A kiss would have made me feel wanted, but that's not what this is. Right now, I feel comforted in the dark times ahead. Figuring out a new home. Making peace with quitting this war. Raising Gravesend with no experience. I rest my chin on his shoulder. Our ears brush, and I strangely wish I could somehow listen in on his thoughts. To see if I'll be on his mind too when he leaves. When the hug breaks, my gaze doesn't leave the floor. I hope you find yourself, I say. I hope you pop up again, Firefly, Ness says, and the door clicks behind him. So they say their goodbyes, and Ness goes to leave. But as Ness is leaving, what happens? The protector around Nova breaks and is taken down because there was like a protective shield around it so people couldn't see that Nova was there. And it gets taken down, so now the school is open, it's vulnerable, and there's a bunch of people in a big tank going after Nova, and so Ness turns around and goes back to warn them. Well, he doesn't warn them, but try and help out. So, of course, this is an opportune time for the egg to hatch when they're about to be attacked. I've been talking for like a really long time, so I'm gonna try and wrap this up more quickly as we get to the end. And Ness comes back, tries to help. There's a fight. Everyone's freaking out. Everyone's running for their lives. Ness gets taken because it turns out they're after Ness instead of Emil, but they do end up getting Gravesend as well. Ness gets taken. He's put on a ship, and turns out it's his daddy's ship because his father found him, and he plans to like hold him hostage because he doesn't want his campaign to be ruined. And maybe he can come back to life. Who knows? The senator, his suit is crisp and his black hair is slicked back, and I never understood how someone who devotes so much energy to hating Celestials can find the time for all this maintenance. He always did say that appearances are everything. You're supposed to be dead, the senator says, adjusting his glasses. He's not even looking me in the eye. You're supposed to be happy I'm alive. The senator reviews the remaining books on the shelf. Yes, well, unfortunately, your life puts me in a tricky situation so close to this election. Are you serious? Quite. I've put years into this campaign. More years spent on politics than parenting, that's for sure. Only one of those paths was intentional, Eduardo. I cannot believe I come from this monster. Why haven't you killed me? Believe me, the thought has crossed my mind. Senator pulls bourbon out of a mini fridge and pours himself a drink. Certainly it wouldn't be the first time I tried. And then you find out the senator and Luna are working together to benefit each other. And then the senator threatens to put him in the bounds, which is where Celestials kill each other for survival and for sport. And so he asks him if he wants to help or if he wants to go to the bounds. And that's where we last hear from Ness. Next, we check back in on Brighton and Maribel. From Brighton's perspective, he says, I turned away from my laptop and stared at the Crown Dreamer from outside my window. So much has changed since the constellation first returned to the sky. I was getting ready to leave for college. Emil and I were powerless together, but now the stars are shining their brightest before vanishing by morning. And Maribel Lucero is sitting on my bed after the most life-changing month of my life. I'm famous, I have purpose, I've proven time and time again that Emil might be the one with powers, but I'm still powerful. So then, again, long story short, they figure out where they're gonna go, and they go there. The Spellwalkers also arrive there, and they're gonna try and end this before Luna can sacrifice the Phoenix and Hydra and her parents, and end up with eternal life. Iris makes sure Emil knows how things are gonna go, and says, if we can save the Phoenix, we will, but if we can't, we must do what has to be done. You're not calling the shots here, Emil, especially not after you were ready to walk. But we do need to fight alongside us. So, basically, if they can't save Gravesend, they're gonna have to kill her. And this made me nervous, but you know what made me even more nervous? You'll find out. So basically, they get to a church where Luna is trying to carry out the ritual so she can have eternal life. And there's a tussle. Of course, there's always a tussle. And Emil ends up with the Infinity Ender and Gravesend. I pick up the Infinity Ender. I'm sorry I saved a Gravesend as she looks at me with adoring eyes. I was the first person she saw when she was born and I have to sacrifice her for a world she never got to see. This is wrong. I can't. The blade is snatched out of my hand and Luna drives it straight into Gravesend's heart while she's still in my arms. Gravesend's brief cry sounds like all the pain in the world. I'm staring into her eyes as the fire goes out. I'm completely frozen when Luna rips the blade out of Gravesend and stabs me in the stomach. The pain blazes as she twists the blade. She wrenches Gravesend out of my arms and I slam on my back, staring up at the Crown Dreamer whose brilliant light fades from me as my eyes close. I hear screams all around me, and I'm hoping the people are all good. I want them to run and hide. This is all a done deal. I pull the Infinity Ender out of my stomach and press down on my wound while trying to breathe. I look up and find Luna draining Gravesend's dark blue blood over the cauldron. I'm too weak to call for help. Every breath needs to be used to stay alive. Luna takes a step back from the cauldron and throws into a pouch of stardust, and it all erupts in a see-through flames that smell of rainy evenings in the park and houses on fire. Luna is shaking as she scoops up enough portion to fill a round bottle. It looks like an empty snow globe. The elixir looks like dirty seawater. Red bolts strike through the air, blowing apart the cauldron and flying through Luna's stomach. Her eyes widen and she falls to the floor, choking. Elixir splashes out of her bottle, but she's protected most of it. I try crawling to her. I'll spill it out myself and turn my back on Luna as she dies. Brighton and Maribel run up to me. "You're going to be okay," Brighton says, kneeling beside me. "Stop her," I say as Luna tries bringing the potion to her lips. Maribel steps on Luna's wrist and snatches the bottle. "So close," she taunts. Brighton moves over Luna, hovering over her face. "You thought I was nothing more than a pawn, and look who stopped you." He holds out his hand and Maribel passes him the potion. "Who's king now?" "Pour it out," I say, but he doesn't, and it feels like someone is squeezing my heart. There's someone who wants power even more than Luna. "Brighton, don't do this. That potion is untested. You could die like Dad did." Brighton stares at the elixir. "Better than living powerless." My brother looks up at the crowned dreamer as he drinks every last drop of the Reaper's blood. And that's the end of the first book. So, yeah, that's Infinity Son. I mean, I think I touched on the majority of it, which I didn't mean for this to be, and I didn't mean to read as much as I did, but I did really enjoy this book, and it was very stressful. But you can see there are a lot of cliches in it, but it left off on a good cliffhanger, and Adam Silvera did leave off on a good note for a sequel and the rest of the series. So, yeah, that's it. I'm gonna go because I've been talking for like 2 hours now. So, yes. Thank you for watching this video. Let me know what you thought of Infinity Son down below. These were my thoughts and opinions and most notable things I thought to mention. But let me know how you liked it and what you thought and if you're excited for the sequel or not. And I will see you next week for another video. Alright, so I hope you have a good day, a good week, and I will see you next week. Alright, thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. So, yeah. Alright, bye.